Are trikes safe? That seems like a rather odd question to be asking as I'm enjoying myself flying early evening Saturday afternoon. After I did the video, Why I Fly a Mini, it elicited a number of different conversations and pros and cons of both foot launch and flying a trike. The only real negative comment I got was someone who said you can't pack it in a suitcase and put it on an airplane. Well, that's true. That's not very convenient to do, but I haven't had an occasion where I can't either trail it or ship it if I have to. But I got quite a shock. I was talking to a friend of mine who had made a couple of good launches during the day, and when he landed on both of his landings, he fell. During our conversation, I asked him if he had ever tried a trike, which would be a little bit easier on the legs. I was absolutely stunned to hear him reply that he didn't think trikes were safe to fly, and more so, a friend of his with him said the same thing. I try to be fair in my judgment, and yes, I have seen some trikes that well, they probably shouldn't be being used as trikes. They're homemade. Most manufacturers' trikes are pretty good, although there's a couple of those that are possibly questionable. However, every launch that I have seen, almost every launch, it has been definitely pilot error. The chute starts to sway, they give it more power, they lose control and tip over or have a little bit of a disaster. When I land, I'm going to talk to Eric Dufour, who also heard the same conversation, and see what he thinks. We'll discuss it a little further. Eric and I talked, and he said the same thing. It's pilot error. They've got to learn to control the chute. Eric, being a man of action, you see how he bundled the chute up into a wad and said, "Watch this." Eric caught me by surprise. I didn't realize he was going to take off, but here he goes, and you see what he does. He pulls it up. He's got a little cravat, no problem. He's staying at a reasonable speed, untucks the cravat, and as soon as he's sure he's in control, he takes off. It's no different with a trike or a foot launch. You don't take off until you've got control of the chute. And with a trike, it's a heck of a lot easier because you're not running. You're just sitting there riding along. Now watch, Eric's going to come in. He stops, lets the chute drop. Now again, he pulls the chute up. He's going to look at it, make sure it's full of air, make sure it's level, it's not swaying, and as soon as he's comfortable with it, he'll apply more power, he'll lift off, and he's flying. If it's not right, stop. Now I have to admit that the Mini is a different animal. It's an awful lot easier than anything I've ever flown. Here Eric has made a pass, he came around, he's landed, and I guess at this point I didn't know for sure what he was going to do, but it turned out he just wanted to make sure I understood what he did, and that it wasn't a fluke. Note the lines, and the chute is certainly not directly behind the Mini, but as he gives it power, it comes up, few small adjustments, he's got control, and again, he's going to take off with no problem. If it's not right, stop. At this point, I assumed that Eric was merely landing, just going to taxi to show you how easy it is to taxi, but knowing Eric, enough is never quite enough. Let's see what we can do here. How many trikes do you see ever making this maneuver? Now, I'm 74 years old. I learned from Eric, and I can do this with the Mini. In this next clip, Eric surprised even me. Don't try this at home. I don't recommend it. Neither does Eric. But he wanted to show what will happen if the pilot doesn't interfere. Note that the brakes are hanging up. He does not have them in his hands. Watch his hands. This is a no-hands takeoff. He does it merely by controlling the throttle and not over controlling the steering of the trike. There's no real danger here because if it's not working, all he has to do is stop. And by the way, watch this Mini perform. People say they don't feel that you can turn them like you can a regular PPG. Well, here comes Eric in for a landing, and look at his hands. He does not have his hands on the brake. It's a no-hands landing. So he took off again and makes another turn around the field, and he comes back in, and he's going to stop and say hello to the camera. I think you've been drinking, Eric. You can't go straight down the dang runway. Wait till Elizabeth sees this.
Oh yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, wow. Now, just to show you that Eric is not perfect, I asked him to fly over and land close to the chute bag so I could pack it. He's now pretty much over the chute bag, and he's heading in, but no, wait a minute, he's down off center a little bit. Don't tell him he's going to miss it. No, he missed it. No, Eric saw a target. He can't pass up a target. I had to walk and get the chute bag.